As night cloaked the city in its shadowy embrace, I found myself lost in the glow of my phone, swiping through Tinder with a mix of boredom and curiosity. My thumb paused on a profile that immediately caught my attention. Evelyn. Her photos radiated an enigmatic charm, and her bio was a captivating mix of wit and mystery. With a mix of excitement and nervousness, I swiped right. To my surprise, it was a match. We exchanged messages, and soon our conversation flowed effortlessly. She had a way of making every message seem intriguing, and I found myself eagerly awaiting her replies. After a week of chatting, we decided to meet in person. Evelyn suggested a quaint, little-known cafe in a secluded part of the city. Its obscurity added to the thrill of our first meeting. The cafe was nestled between two nondescript buildings, its dimly lit sign flickering like a beacon in the night. As I pushed open the door, the warm scent of coffee and old wood enveloped me. Evelyn was already there, sitting in a corner booth, her face partially obscured by a book. "James?" Her voice was as captivating as her messages. "Yes, Evelyn," I replied, my heart racing. She smiled and closed her book, gesturing for me to sit across from her. The conversation started smoothly, with both of us sharing stories and laughing. But as the night deepened, so did the nature of our talk. Evelyn began to share tales of her past relationships, each story darker than the last. She spoke of betrayal, manipulation, and fear. I listened, a growing unease settling in my stomach. The way she described her past was almost sinister. As she talked, the cafe began to empty, leaving us alone in the dim light. That's when she leaned in closer, her eyes piercing into mine. "I've always had a knack for knowing people's fears, James. It's a gift, I suppose." I tried to laugh it off, but her gaze held me captive. "What's your greatest fear, James?" I hesitated, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. "I don't know. Being alone, I guess." Evelyn's smile widened, but there was no warmth in it. Perfect. Confused and increasingly uncomfortable, I excused myself to use the restroom. When I returned, Evelyn was gone. On the table where she had been sitting was her book with a note scrawled on the inside cover. "See you soon, James. E." I left the cafe, my mind racing with questions. Who was Evelyn, really? What did her note mean? The city streets felt colder, more menacing as I made my way home. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak and whisper of my apartment seemed amplified. I kept thinking about Evelyn's intense gaze, her unsettling stories, and that final note. The next few days were a blur of paranoia and fear. I started seeing shadows flicker in the corner of my eyes. My phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, all from Evelyn. Her messages were cryptic, filled with references to our conversation and my admitted fear of being alone. Then, things escalated. I started receiving photos, pictures of me at the cafe walking home, even inside my apartment. I was being watched. The realization hit me like a wave of ice-cold water. Evelyn wasn't just a strange Tinder match, she was a stalker, obsessed with instilling fear. I reported it to the police, but without solid evidence, they could do little. Evelyn's messages became more threatening, her photos more invasive. I felt trapped in a nightmare, constantly looking over my shoulder, jumping at every sound. One night, as I lay in bed trying to find some semblance of sleep, I heard it, a faint whisper. My heart stopped. It was Evelyn's voice, coming from inside my apartment. "I found you, James," she hissed from the shadows. I bolted upright, frantically searching for my phone to call the police. But it was gone. In its place, on the nightstand, was Evelyn's book. My breath caught in my throat as I realized the terrifying truth. She was here, with me. The next moments were a blur of panic and chaos. I tried to escape, but she was always one step ahead, her laughter echoing through the dark corridors of my apartment. It was a game to her, a twisted hunt. Somehow I managed to lock myself in the bathroom, my heart pounding against my ribs. I could hear her taunting me from the other side of the door, her words a twisted melody of madness. "Come out, James. You can't hide from your fears forever." I stayed there, huddled in terror, until the first light of dawn crept through the window. When the police finally arrived, Evelyn was gone, leaving no trace behind except for her haunting words and the paralyzing fear that lingered in her wake. I hope you liked tonight's creepy stories. If you enjoyed this video or if you want more, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly horror stories that'll send chills down your spine. Good night, if you dare.